All right, I've got 6:30, so I'll call to order this meeting of the City of Columbus Plan Commission for Thursday, February 15th, 2018. We do have a quorum tonight. This meeting has been noticed appropriately in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. First thing we will need to do is approve the agenda.
Roll call.
Oh, you want to do a roll call?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monday.
Present.
Parpart.
Present.
Tome.
Present.
Zapataki.
Yep.
We have Hanson, Kenny, and Robbins are excused.
Thank you. Number 4 then, approve the agenda. Unless there's any alterations or deletions, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion on the motion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. On to approval of the minutes from January 18th. We have a copy of those minutes in our packet.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from January 18th. Any discussion on that? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved from the January 18th meeting. No unfinished business this evening. On to new business then. First order of business is review the draft public participation plan for the comprehensive plan. I will turn it over to Matt Schreiber.
All right, thank you. In your packets, you should have received a 4-page document. It's the draft public participation plan for the 2040 comprehensive plan. I'm just going to review this document and how I have it outlined and seek any feedback, and then I guess go from there. But the first thing I just wanted to highlight is this is actually a requirement of the state statute of the comprehensive planning law. In the public participation plan, there's a few things that are required by law. The local unit of government should adopt written procedures to basically foster public participation. This includes many different things underneath that, and this is required for every stage of the of the development of the comprehensive plan. And then also, one of the other key points for the state statute is that we should we should always be open, or we should have a method to receive written comments, and then also we are required by law to actually respond to everybody who submits a written comment to us. And then the last item that is in there is that we need to notify any person who owns property or owns a lease on a non-metallic mineral resources. So there's a couple quarries in town, or at least there's one I know of over off of 60, and we will have to make sure they're notified as this process goes along. So those are really the big ticket items that are in the statute. It's only a paragraph. There's not a lot of detail. It's pretty vague. So I mean, we kind of have, I guess, we can put in whatever we want above and beyond, obviously, the minimum requirements of the statute. So going on to the document, just the first paragraph going through the purpose. Obviously, we want involvement from residents, business owners, property owners, and other stakeholders from the city. The intent of the plan is to define methods which interested stakeholders will be informed and involved in every stage of the planning process. Also, in the second paragraph, I do note that staff will be developing the plan, and you guys will be responsible for essentially approving it and then ultimately making a final recommendation to the council, who will approve the comprehensive plan. The second section is objectives. These are, just as I was thinking of what we should be trying to accomplish with this public participation plan. One is provide opportunities for stakeholders of the City of Columbus to participate in the comprehensive planning process. Inform all stakeholders interested in Columbus of the importance of participation in the creation of the comprehensive plan. Provide public involvement that strengthens the sense of community. Establish the framework for public participation in the development of the City of Columbus comprehensive plan. Allow public access to all Columbus Comprehensive Plan chapters, maps created throughout the process, solicit public input from a broad range of perspectives and interests within the city through a variety of means so that it may be carefully considered and incorporated into the comprehensive plan process, and then meet the standards for the state statutes. Then the next section, any questions so far, you can interrupt at any time. So I'm not just reading off the document, okay?
I'll ask one question right now.
Sure. Or if there's any other objectives you think this should be addressing, or
Just
please.
something that came to mind in the second bullet point under objectives, inform all stakeholders interested in Columbus of the importance of participating. Are we looking at,
It probably should say Columbus Comprehensive Plan. I think that's a typo.
well, I guess what I was getting at is, what if someone has an interest in our comprehensive plan that isn't a resident or a taxpayer of Columbus, but
Well,
they have?
there could be. That's why I use the term stakeholders, because
Okay,
there's probably people who don't live in the city that work in the city. There's probably people who maybe own businesses or own real estate that aren't city residents, and they would be considered stakeholders. So,
okay.
employer, yeah. There's,
That's why I wanted to ask that
I mean,
question.
people, people who send their kids to school in Columbus, that don't live, I mean, there's plenty. And that's why I try to use stakeholders and I hope if you catch it where it's in there, I don't use stakeholders, I use another term. I figure that's a good term that's all encompassing, that kind of gets everybody, because there's more than just, as you said, more than residents and businesses that,
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
yep.
This is a public document too, so anybody that has any interest in developments or anything to do with Columbus can get a copy of this.
Correct.
Yeah,
Once this is approved,
right.
this will all be on the website.
So that terminology would be all inclusive.
Correct.
So,
Yep. So public outreach, this is basically, I go through and kind of describe how we're going to engage the public during, I see as three main phases. Right now, we're basically in the pre-draft phase. We don't have anything written on paper. We don't have any preconceived notions of what's going to be in the comprehensive plan. So at this point, we're looking to get citizen input that will, or I shouldn't say citizen, I should say stakeholder input that will help us drive the plan and develop the plan. Really, one of the things I've identified under the, as to accomplish this, the primary method will be attend local business and civic organizations to obtain feedback. We kind of talked at the last meeting about the last bullet point where we hold a public information meeting. I still might do that. Notice where I says to accomplish this, the city staff may, I don't say shall. It depending on how the feedback goes, we might host a public information meeting, we might not. But at the very minimum, we're going to be going out to any civic organization that wants to have me, and I'll go through a little spiel with them. Now, each meeting will be different. It'll be tailored to the size of the group and how much time I have. To go in with like a one-size-fits-all for that doesn't make much sense. But I do have some ideas on how I want to handle those meetings. And then also the survey, I know that was brought up by Mr. Hanson at the last meeting, and I've looked, and there's some free online survey tools that I think I could utilize that will hopefully help us build consensus. The way I envision it is the stakeholder groups that I meet with, they will help identify key issues for each of the elements that we discussed. And I'm going to utilize the survey to hopefully verify the issues, but also kind of identify the key issues. So there might be 20 issues for economic development, but 3 of them are the most vital. And I figure using those key groups and then also during the survey, I can have an open-ended question. If there's something that is missed, people can, and I figure that's, in my mind, that's the best way to reach the most people within the constraints that we're going to have. I mean, with my time and and to do this in a timely fashion. So that's where I'm at with the pre-draft phase. When we're into the draft plan phase, I mean, obviously that's, at that point when I have a draft chapters later this summer, when I'm going to have, for the chapters that I outlined at the last meeting. So there's 9 chapters. They'll all the draft chapters will come to this group. So this group is always going to be properly noticed, which is something that's, something that we have to be aware of. Plan copies will always be on the website. I will, and during this phase, if somebody wants a second meeting for me to go back as we're developing content, I'd be happy to go back to the local organizations or local business or civic organizations and give an update on where we're at. Obviously, at this point, we'll start accepting public comments. I mean, we can accept public comments earlier on, but the way I envision it, once you have content out there, then you'll get feedback on the content that's been developed. So, and then we're going to obviously utilize our social media. So we're going to city's Facebook page and other means that we have to notify the public that plan documents are out there. And then the last phase will be the final draft phase. It's going to be pretty similar to the draft phase, but I envision that they'll hold at that point, once we have a final plan, I think having some sort of open house where the public can come in, you'd have a large map like over there that would show the future land use map, so people can kind of clearly see, what their property shows and what what we envision the growth pattern to be. Also have handouts on kind of like summaries of the plans, like little 1-2 pagers that that hopefully is easy to digest, that gets the, I don't want to say gist, or gets the gist of what the plan entails. Obviously, final copies will be out on the website. We will hold a public hearing as required by law. One thing I will say right now is I'm going to follow up with Paul, our attorney, because it does say Class 1 notice in here. That may have changed. It might be a Class 2 notice now. I will verify that, obviously, and make any edits to this document if that's the case. But and then once again, we'll be accepting public comments, and then the using the social media to make people aware that the plan is out there. As far as plan oversight, as I mentioned before, the Plan Commission is responsible for the oversight and development of this plan. All meetings of the plan will be open to the public, and then I list. It's going to be on the city website. Agendas will be on the city website, and the address of City Hall. Also, under this section, I put that the notice will be sent to all persons who either lease or own non-metallic mineral resources within the city. The next paragraph down is talking about written comments. It just gives the process for providing written comments, and that you can submit written comments to me, or you can mail them to City Hall. Going to the top of page 3, the city of, just talking about website and technology. Obviously, we'll utilize the website, as we've mentioned before, to host documents and maps that are created during the comprehensive planning process. It will utilize the city's Facebook page to notify people of upcoming meetings, I should say stakeholders of upcoming meetings. And then I will also partner with Channel 980, which is some other technology we can utilize to help provide updates on the comprehensive planning process. The public, yep. Of the packet? Yeah. What? Yeah. Thank you, Patrick. As far as we're on, for the public hearing, this is, quite frankly, this is language that was in the previous public participation plan, and it still applies today. So a public hearing shall be held before the Plan Commission makes a recommendation to City Council for final adoption, no less than 30 days. There's a variety of things that we need to, notices that we need to provide. Also make sure we have paper copies here at City Hall and at the library. And we also have to notify adjacent communities. So I think you'll see clerks from Fall River, towns of Elba, and town of Columbus, not Columbia. So that's pretty cut and dry, standard process for the public hearing. And then at the bottom of page 3, talking about plan adoption / amendment procedures. Either way, whether we adopt it the first time or we amend it, it's going to follow the same procedure. So this basically goes through, and any stakeholder, we may receive written comment. Any stakeholder may submit a written request to the city clerk to receive notice of a comprehensive plan 30 days before the adoption, and the clerk will maintain. I should probably change that to read myself. And then the Plan Commission will vote, basically make a recommendation to the City Council, and then the City Council will adopt. Wait a minute. Shoot, I should have removed the public information meeting at that. Yeah.
Cross it off.
Yeah. I thought I edited that. I apologize. And then, as I said, printed copies will be at City Hall and the library. And then obviously it would go to a vote. So that's what I had as far as the public participation plan. Some of the groups that I have in my mind that I'm going to go to, the chamber, the Rotary. I was thinking, maybe something at the senior center, and partnering with them, the Lions Club, the PTO, and then I know that's not an exhaustive list, but I mean, I'm sure Patrick probably has others or others that I could go. Anybody who's willing to host me, I'd be happy to go. And whether I have 15 minutes or an hour, I mean, I probably could fill that, and we could do, a good exercise. I envision that at the beginning there will be a little bit of a visioning session where I'd go through a couple questions, try to get, a couple, 10-word answers to some, I guess, thoughtful questions. So just trying to get some keywords from citizens, and then use that to hopefully identify, what the vision is for the city based on some of that feedback. But then also go through and identify key issues in the elements that we had. And the elements, agricultural, cultural, natural resources, housing, utilities, community facilities, economic development, transportation, land use, intergovernmental cooperation, and implementation. And one of the things I didn't put in here that will be in a separate section, so typically this ends up being like Appendix A of the plan. There'll be the 4-page document, and then it will be signed, and it's comes part of the plan. Well, I'm also going to develop Appendix B, and it'll be tracking of the public participation. So I'll have, what meetings I went to, what the date was, what the attendance was, kind of give a brief overview of what types of methods I used for public participation, and then how did it work? Was it good? Was it bad? So it kind of documents the what we're doing for public participation, and it kind of evaluates what methods we're using. And as we move forward, I might get rid of some if they don't work, or keep you doing what I'm doing. Or I think having that evaluation for public participation is something that should be included in the plan. So that's pretty much all I had. I'm open for questions. And
Question one, should I turn on my microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
All right. You mentioned about removing the public information meeting from the end. Was that, you wanted to strike that altogether or move it to a different spot in the process?
It was already,
It was in the goals and objectives. But then I did not see it again in the body of the rest of it.
I thought I had it identified. You know what?
I agree, it probably needs to move from its spot in this document, you know, somewhere above the whole
Yeah.
adoption process, but.
No, you're right, you're right.
yeah, But it needs to be in there. It was one of the bullet points in the objectives,
Yeah,
but then it never appeared again until that very last page.
you're right. I probably need to find a different place to house it, because it wouldn't go into the public hearing.
You have as the sub-bullet point under final draft phase as host an open house.
Yep. No, I will
Okay.
need to edit that, yes. I guess what I would propose then is create a separate section talking about the final draft,
Sure.
or the public meeting, and probably just move this out and make it its own heading. Because I was confused, I guess why I thought I was gonna strike it is I thought I removed it from under the planned adoption amendment procedures, because it shouldn't have been under there. I thought I moved it out, and clearly I didn't, so.
And that's the only location, or that's the only time in the process where the document as a whole will be presented, right? The chapter by chapter parts will be in this venue,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
As the draft plan
Well,
phase.
Once you make your final recommendation, it would also be at that meeting. I don't think I'd go through the whole document, but the whole document would be available
There,
and be
right.
available for discussion at that, when you make your final recommendation to the city council.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is the public information meeting and open house, that's hosted with the whole document in hand.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
We're not doing this on 10 different occasions.
Yes. Yeah, no, I will take that language and tweak it and then put it under a different subheading. And I will call it final draft open house or something of that effect.
The only other comment I had was I think it would probably be a good public outreach opportunity to have copies of the documents at one or both schools.
Oh, I can add that,
I
yeah.
think it's
Wait, when you said
one or
both
How many schools do we have in town? 3.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right. I guess I was just thinking
No,
of the middle
yeah.
school and the high school. But
Middle school and the high school?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
I think that a lot of people flock to those places. They don't really flock to City Hall.
senior center, would that be another spot?
Sure. I guess, if we're talking about public accessibility, I know the traditional places that have paper copies are City Hall and the library.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what's required by statute. and
Yeah,
that's-
but I
yeah.
think as far as sort of having it more available to somebody who's, people go to school on a regular basis.
Yep.
Older folks go to the senior center on a regular basis.
Mhm.
I come here on a regular basis, but, you know.
I will make those changes. Then now, I guess what I was looking for was a motion to approve. Now, we can do a motion to approve with the edits, or not that, let me rephrase. You're not approving, make a recommendation to city council for them to approve. Or would you rather have me come back with this edited next month and you can look at a final copy? Either way, I would ask then for some blessing so I can at least start going out and following up on what we have in this document and start contacting people so I can, in the months of March and April and maybe into May, undertake the public participation.
My understanding is that you have to have the city council approve this plan before you can execute it?
No, but I wanted somebody to at least take a look at it and give me some sort of verification that they are okay with this and that I can proceed with, following up and reaching out to the groups that I intend to engage.
Sure. Patrick, did you have a comment?
I just, on that point, to be able to go in front of the council, that is another avenue then to get it out to the public. Watching city council meeting, they can see it as a item and then be aware of what's coming in terms of the public participation related to this issue, so.
I guess from a procedural standpoint, I'm wondering if we are making a recommendation to the council to approve this, or we are approving it here, and then you're reporting it to the council. Does that make sense?
My interpretation is you're making a recommendation for them to approve it.
Okay. Bob?
I'd like to see it cleaned up. You've got some stuff you want to move.
Yep.
Get it in a new category. You've also got other changes where you edit it, like Columbia to Columbus, so on and so forth. So you've got a clean document, so that once we do bless it here, it goes to council and gets a blessing there. You don't have to come back the following week and say, oh, crying out loud, I spelled that wrong. So,
That's fine.
Ed?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, because in the past, we've had little situations where you've got pieces and stuff coming in, and it's not all in one uniform move, and some people have a tendency sometimes to take that part, well, that doesn't actually believe in here, or belong in here. So if we just, like Bob recommended, that we clean everything up and make one unified motion to accept or reflect to the council that we feel this is good. Yeah.
Does that affect your timeline, Matt? I mean, can you still continue working on this stuff without this approval? I mean, you can still make...
As long as this group is okay with me reaching out and starting to go through that process and meeting with various groups that will have me, I don't care. I mean, it doesn't. I just want to make sure that the public participation plan has been reviewed, and I don't understand. Or I understand that there's not some huge changes to this document. So I mean, I can proceed if the plan commission is comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that's going to happen is, for some strange reason, Matthew will go out, meet with 3 different groups, and the council will be like, well, we don't like this part about you meeting with groups, and the worst that would happen is he wasted his time. So,
Okay. All right. I guess one last question I have before we move off of it is, in the public outreach section, you have the bullet points down there about attending local business and civic organizations, complete a survey of city stakeholders. You would explain that maybe there's some free online type surveys that you can use, and public information meeting, and some of this stuff is geared more towards our city website to make that stuff accessible for people that want to view that, and also social media for notifications. I think that we should utilize all those tools, but I'm a little bit hesitant to gear everything towards a website. That are we skipping a demographic by not reaching out to the people that read papers or would respond to a written survey in the mail through the utility bill or something like that? I don't have a real strong feeling, but I feel like we're kind of gearing everything in one direction.
I was just going to chime in that, a way to reach that would be the utility bills. And I don't think we don't specify that, but that could be a cost-effective way to reach a broader audience that doesn't have those, access to those other outlets.
I would kind of support that. I mean, I don't think it would be much cost to do that if we could get a stuffer. It's just getting in line. I know that there's usually quite a line to do that, but it reaches a different demographic, I guess, for little cost.
Yeah, I agree. I found that very effective in different communities that I've worked in where I've had to reach a significant number of people. So,
Okay, all right. So maybe we could just kind of include that in there. I mean, it says survey, it's kind of open-ended, but maybe just so we know we're not relying too much heavily on
Yeah.
one type of survey rather than
Okay.
having several. All right. I didn't have any other
Yeah,
comments.
and it wasn't, the intent wasn't to really, not exclude a group. It was more of a cost type of,
Sure.
you know, just trying to do it as efficiently as possible and as low cost as possible, so.
Sure,
That's, yeah.
Yep, I understand that. I don't have any other concerns, I guess, with the document, other than what Uriah had mentioned. I think if we get everything cleaned up first before we make a recommendation to council, that's the wise thing to do, so.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Do you need us to make a motion then, or are we just gonna wait till the next meeting?
We can wait. I mean,
Okay.
I've got my, you know, instructions from you guys that I'm okay to proceed.
Okay.
And, I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? No?
Wait till the
So-
next meeting.
Okay. And then,
Unless there's anything else?
no, well, the only other thing on the agenda then was the update.
Update on local development activities?
And I guess I don't really have anything imminent that I can discuss, but I will say that over the course of the last month, I've met with a few potential businesses that are interested in going to the downtown, and I'm hopeful that that means that as these businesses develop their business plan and hopefully get financing that they need, that there's a few less vacant storefronts in the downtown area. So it's been positive. As I said, I can't speak to whether or not these businesses will be successful or if they'll get the financing they need, but there's definitely been some interest, and that's, I think, worth noting to this group, so.
Great, that's good to hear. Any questions from anyone up here? If none, then I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Our next regular plan commission meeting then is for Thursday, March 22nd. Thank you.